$65,000. That's what it cost to climb Everest in 19... Not for equipment, not for training, not for permits, for a guide. A professional climber who would take you to the top, guarantee your summit, make your dream come true. $65,000, and people paid it gladly. This is the story of how Everest became a business, how the world's highest mountain turned into a product, how reaching the summit became something you could buy. Let's go back. Before the business, before the clients, before everything changed. In 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summited Everest for the first time. It was a national expedition. Government-funded, military-organized. The best climbers, the best equipment. Years of planning. Success meant national glory. Failure meant national shame. But they succeeded, and Everest was conquered. For the next 30 years, Everest remained the domain of serious climbers, national expeditions, scientific teams, professional mountaineers. You didn't buy a trip to Everest. You earned it. Through years of climbing, through proven skill, through expedition selection. Everest was sacred, elite, dangerous, not for amateurs. Then, in the 1980s, everything changed. Nepal opened up, the permit system changed. Suddenly, anyone could apply for permission to climb Everest, anyone with enough money. The Nepalese government realized something. Everest permits were valuable, very valuable. They could charge $10,000 per expedition, maybe more. Tourism dollars desperately needed in one of the world's poorest countries, so they started issuing permits, lots of them, to anyone who could pay. And some climbers saw an opportunity. Dick Bass, a businessman from Texas, 55 years old, not a professional climber, just a wealthy man with a dream. In 1985, he hired a guide, paid for a private expedition, and summited Everest. He became the oldest person to summit at the time, and the first person to complete the 7 summits, the highest peak on each continent. His success made headlines, not because he was the best climber, but because he proved something revolutionary. Anyone could climb Everest. If you had enough money, if you hired the right guide. Dick Bass wrote a book about his achievement. It became a bestseller, 7 summits, inspiring thousands of people, ordinary people, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, people who had never climbed a serious mountain in their lives. They read Dick Bass's story and thought, if he can do it, so can I. And they could, for a price. In the late 1980s, the first commercial guiding companies appeared. Professional climbers realized they could make money, real money, guiding wealthy clients up Everest. Charge $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Take 5 clients per expedition. That's $300,000, minus expenses, still profitable. And clients were lining up, desperate for the summit, willing to pay whatever it cost. The business model was simple. You pay. We guide, you summit. We provide everything. Sherpas to carry your gear, oxygen systems, fixed ropes, camps, food, support. You just walk. Follow the guide. Do what you're told. Reach the summit. Everest for everyone became the pitch. No experience necessary. We'll get you there. And it worked. Clients came. Money flowed. Summits happened. But something was lost. Something important. Everest stopped being about skill, about preparation, about respect for the mountain. It became about paying your way to the top, about bragging rights, about the summit photo. By the early 1990s, dozens of commercial expeditions were operating on Everest every season. Hundreds of clients, most with minimal climbing experience. And 2 companies dominated the market. Well, Adventure Consultants, led by Rob Hall, a New Zealander. Mountain Madness, led by Scott Fischer, an American. Rob Hall was 35 years old and methodical, careful, professional. He had summited Everest 5 times, more than almost anyone. He knew the mountain, respected it, feared it. Rob's company, Adventure Consultants, had an incredible success rate. 39 clients summited between 1990 and 1995, 0 deaths. His reputation was impeccable. If you want to summit Everest safely, go with Rob Hall. He charged $65,000 per client, worth every penny, clients said, because Rob got you to the top and brought you back alive. Rob had rules, strict rules, non-negotiable rules. Turnaround time, 2 p.m. If you're not at the summit by 2 p.m., you descend, no matter how close you are. Oxygen, never run out, always have backup. Weather, if conditions deteriorate, turn around. The summit isn't worth your life. Sherpa support, trust them, listen to them. They know the mountain better than anyone. These rules worked for years. Clients summited, clients survived, Rob's reputation grew. But Rob faced a problem. Competition. Scott Fischer, 40 years old, charismatic, bold, confident. Scott's company, Mountain Madness, was newer, less established, but gaining ground. Scott was different from Rob. More relaxed, more fun. Let's enjoy the climb was his philosophy. Where Rob was cautious, Scott was bold. Where Rob had rigid rules, Scott was flexible. Clients loved Scott. He made Everest feel like an adventure, not a military operation. And Scott's success rate was good. Not as perfect as Rob's, but good enough. In 1996, both companies were running expeditions on Everest. Same season, same route, same summit day. Competition was fierce, not hostile, but present. Rob knew Scott was there. Scott knew Rob was there. Both wanted their clients to succeed. Because success meant future business. Success meant reputation. Success meant money. This is where the business model created pressure. Invisible pressure. Dangerous pressure. If you turn back a client, they're disappointed. Maybe they demand a refund. Maybe they write bad reviews. Maybe they tell others not to use your company. If you get them to the summit, they're ecstatic, they pay, they recommend you, they come back for more mountains. So there's an incentive, a financial incentive, to push clients further than maybe they should go. To bend the rules. Just a little. Just this once. We're so close. Just one more hour. We can make it. Rob Hall had resisted this pressure for years. He turned back clients when necessary, stuck to his rules, safety first. But in 1996, something was different. Maybe it was the competition with Scott. Maybe it was client expectations. Maybe it was his own ambition. On May 10, 1996, Rob Hall broke his own rule, the 2 p.m. turnaround time. He climbed past it, kept going, pushed for the summit, and 8 people died. The business of Everest had claimed its price. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Commercial Everest created a conflict of interest. Guides are supposed to keep clients safe. That's their job, their responsibility. But guides also need clients to succeed, to summit, to be happy, to pay, to recommend. When those two goals conflict, what happens? May 10, 1996 showed us the answer. After the disaster, people asked, should Everest be commercial? Should people be able to buy their way to the summit? Some said no, absolutely not. Everest should return to the old days, serious climbers only. No clients, no business. Others said yes. Why shouldn't people pursue their dreams? If they can pay, why not let them try? The debate continues. 28 years later, Everest is more commercial than ever. In 2019, more than 800 people summited Everest in one season. Traffic jams at the summit, people waiting hours in line, while others died around them. The business model hasn't changed. Pay your money, follow the guide, summit. But the risks haven't changed either. Everest is still Everest, still deadly, still unforgiving. In 1996, $65,000 bought you a guided trip to the summit, and maybe a death sentence. Today the price is higher. $80,000, $100,000 for premium services. But the fundamental question remains, should Everest be for sale? Rob Hall believed you could run a commercial operation safely, follow the rules, respect the mountain, bring everyone home. He was right, for years. Until he wasn't. On May 10, 1996, the business of Everest collided with the reality of Everest. The business lost. This is part 2, the business of Everest. How money changed everything, how clients became customers, how summits became products. In the next part, we'll meet Rob Hall, the man, the guide, the perfectionist who broke his own rules. Because understanding the business is only half the story. Understanding the people is the other half. The business of Everest created the conditions for disaster, but people made the decisions. People climbed past the turnaround time. People died. Why? We'll explore that next. Welcome to the business of the world's highest mountain, where dreams cost $65,000 and sometimes cost everything.